The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on talkSPORT and Talk Radio.
This is talkSPORT. We are the Two Mics. Sporty Vision coming up very, very shortly. That, of course, is the music that will signal our listography this morning, because it's all about fashion.
Oh, yeah?
And that's Change Your Clothes.
Excellent.
That song by Jay-Z.
Jay-Z?
Yeah, you a fan of Jay-Z?
Jay-Z? Never heard of Jay-Z.
You've never heard of
Jay-Z?
Rapper? Of course he's a rapper.
Rapper, is he?
How can you never have heard of Jay-Z?
I'm not into rappers, mate, but I can assure
yeah, but he's
you.
more than a rapper. I mean,
Yeah,
he's a modern sort of superstar.
Is he? Yeah,
Would you prefer something a bit more like this, then? You prefer this one?
Oh, I know that is.
Yeah.
That's Bowie.
It is.
That's Bowie.
It's good fashion.
The one I would really like, and I'm pointing now to our man with the buttons,
Well,
is...
we have three different songs.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, how about this one?
Three different pieces of clothing.
How about this one?
Yeah.
The Kinks. He's a dedicated follower.
Look at this. He was already anticipating that one.
Instant. Dedicated follower of fashion. Excellent. Oh, yes, he is.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, so now that you've got your chance to give us your three,
yes.
I mean, this should be hilarious. I don't think three's enough for you.
Right.
As I say, I mean, you could quite happily include whatever you're wearing tonight. What a hideous shirt you're wearing. In fact, I'll take a picture of your hideous shirt.
Why?
And send it
It's
out.
a very normal shirt.
Because you said you were going to take one of mine, and which you did.
Shirt.
So I'm now going to take one of you.
It's a very normal shirt.
It's a particularly... No, leave that in there.
What?
That's a talkSPORT microphone. We can leave it in. Yeah, your shirt is particularly hideous.
No, it's not, and it's great.
All right, so let's have your three. Well, we'll start one each, shall we?
Okay.
You want to give us your first terrible fashion scenario?
Okay, my first. You see, I'm not sure that I've got any really fashion problems
you think
over
you dress
the years.
very well, don't you?
I mean, I had a huge pair of platform shoes, you know, which were literally 4-inch platforms with huge Cuban heels.
What colour?
Black. But I liked them, but everybody else used to take the mickey out of them. Right. And you had to wear trousers wide enough to drop over them, otherwise your trousers
Did you wear them to school?
Were up around your ankles. No, this is after I left school.
Oh, okay.
I had these when I was about 20, I would think.
Okay.
And I suppose they were a fashion disaster in the sense that, I'll tell you who wore them, so just to give our listeners an image of the thing. You remember Slade in their pomp?
Yes.
Remember the guy who was called Super Yob, whatever his name was, with the long hair, the guitarist?
You mean Jimmy Lee?
No, Jimmy Lee was
Dave
very
Hill.
bright guy.
Jimmy Lee was a drummer, wasn't he?
No, Jimmy Lee used to play the violin and the guitar.
That's right.
Don somebody was the drummer.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Dave Hill you're talking about.
Dave
the guy
Hill
used to wear the silver suit.
Yeah, that's right. He used to stamp around in big platform shoes, and they were the sort of shoes I used to wear in those days. So, whilst it wasn't a fashion disaster for me, because I felt quite good in them, I thought
Could you
quite
walk
good
in them as well?
Yeah, I could walk in them, and they were a great, I keep saying bird puller, but I don't want to be, offensive.
Well, probably because people thought you were taller.
They were Babe Magnet type shoes. If you had a pair of those on, you'd kind of made it. They're very expensive because there's so much leather involved in them, except actually they weren't made of leather.
They're probably plastic.
And normally what happened after about 3 months, the bridge between the huge Cuban heel and the huge platform front of the shoe, which was just like a strip of sort of faux leather or something, which connected the two together.
Faux leather, of course. With
a metal brace inside. That usually broke, and the shoe was ruined and over, and you threw them away. So it was a bit of a disaster.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I actually was going to put platform shoes, but I shall bypass the platform shoes because that wouldn't be right. There was a shop in Golders Green when I was growing up called the Orange Hand.
The Orange Hand?
Which I used to go shopping in from the age of about 14.
Have you heard of the Orange Hand of Ulster?
No, that's the Red Hand.
Oh, that's the Red Hand, yeah. Sorry, Red Hand of Ulster, which is enforced by the Orange Lodge.
Yes, so there's a lot of colours involved, but there's nothing yellow there about that. And I bought this horrendous denim jacket once.
Right.
Which it was in the same period of sort of platform shoes and very, very wide flares.
Yes.
And those tall, those high trousers that you used to wear.
Yeah, I do, with the 4 buttons on the waist.
4 buttons, and, sort of Simon Cowell style. But this denim jacket was absolutely really hit. There's a picture of me and my mother, actually outside the church that I used to be an altar boy in, wearing this horrendous, and it was quite a light blue denim, but it had massive lapels, that were probably about as wide as about 4 or 5 inches.
Okay.
It had one button that held in the middle, and it was just, and it had sort of stitching on it. Luckily, it didn't have any rhinestones or anything like that.
Right.
But it was just really pretty hideous.
Yes.
But it was that time of the 70s when an awful lot of the clothing was ghastly.
Yeah,
horrible.
Absolutely ghastly. Yeah. Now, hang on, the one that's just gone out of my head now is what was I going to say? It was,
you were going to do your second fashion faux pas.
Second fashion faux pas. Hang on, and I was thinking about it. It was so hideous that I think I've banished it from my brain. Have you got another one?
I'll do a second one. My second one was when I was in New York.
Right.
And because of the hot weather, you tended to think. I mean, I tended to buy quite light coloured suits. I had a very nice sort of beige suit, which I used to wear quite a lot. But I was going to a wedding once, and I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll buy a white suit.
Right.
And I used to go to this shop called Mano a Mano down in Soho.
Right.
And I bought this, and it was, I think it might have been double-breasted.
Right.
And it was sort of a linen-y type material.
Yes.
And it was a white suit. And again, it was, it just looked ridiculous. I mean, I don't think I think there was one picture of me taking it, because I'm not sure I ever wore it.
And that was
again.
about it, was it? Yeah.
Yeah, well, because, I mean, apart from the fact that in Manhattan, you get so filthy walking around.
Yes.
It's completely impractical to wear on a daily basis. I mean, it's all very well for someone like Martin Bell.
Yes.
Who looks rather suave and sophisticated.
Sure.
I just look like Sydney Greenstreet from, the old Casablanca movie.
Casablanca,
the big fat guy sits in a white suit all the time.
Yeah, right, okay, yeah.
So that was a bad idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, my second one, when I was 15, right, if you were really hard knock, you had a Parker.
Yes.
And it was the first time Parkers came out. I mean, they've gone in and out of fashion since then. And
wasn't this when the mods used to wear them then? Well, the mods wore Parkers in the 60s.
I don't think they did, actually. But
they did, yeah, of course they did.
Well, the sort of Parkers I had just come back into fashion, right? So it's a Liam Gallagher type thing, right? So anyway, I got money for Christmas, from relatives or something like that.
Yeah.
So in January, I said, I'm going into town. I was about 15. I'm going into town to get a new coat. And my mum said, okay, we'll get a nice coat, get a smart one, remember, remember the golden rule, you look smart in a coat that's fit to go to church in on Sundays. I said, okay. So anyway, I went to the camping shop, whatever it was called. There was a big chain of them around in those days. Right. I can't remember what they're
Blacks,
called.
Was it maybe?
No, it wasn't Blacks. It was something else. And these sold Millets. I think it was Millets. I think that's a good idea. Well done, yeah. And it sold tents and all that. But at the back of the shop were the Parkers. So I bought this Parker, fantastic, and I gave them my other coat. Yeah. It wasn't a very expensive coat. I had what we used to call a wind cheater or something on those days. I was so pleased with my Parker that I gave them the other coat, and I walked around town.
Did it have the fur and everything on the hood?
Yes, it did. It had fur on the hood and everything. And I know how much it cost. It cost £4, 19 shillings and sixpence. How about that?
Wow.
Yeah, that's how long ago it was.
So that was before decimalisation.
It was before decimalisation.
In 1971.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
I was only 11 in 1971.
Only 11, yeah. So anyway, so what happened then was I went home, but the minute I walked through the door, my mum screamed almost, what is that, and she made me go back and take it back and get my old coat back. But my other old coat had disappeared.
Well, they'd given it to somebody else.
Well, I just disappeared.
Some tramp had been walking around.
Or whatever, it had gone. And after a desperate battle, I got my money back, but they said, well, why? Is there anything wrong with it? I said, no. I said, my mum hates it, and I've got to bring it back, and all this kind of stuff, I was petrified they weren't going to give me money back because I'd lose my £5.
Yeah, right.
And not be able to buy another coat.
Shocking.
But, anyway, they gave me my money back, but I had to hand the coat back in, obviously.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My final faux pas, I mean, because I could go on and on about stuff that I had in the 70s and platform G's and that, but I remember the story from when it would have been probably late 70s, actually. It was, when I was a bit of a Who fan.
Oh, yeah.
And myself and a bunch of guys went over to watch the Who in Paris, at the Paris Pavilion, when Keith Moon was still actually playing for him, I believe. Before the summer that he died. And we got on this, we were about to get on the ferry, and I had decided to wear, I'd had a t-shirt made, and the t-shirt had a slogan on it, which said, who the F are you?
Yes.
Question mark, right?
Yes.
But the F word was spelled out.
Oh, I see.
And as I was going through customs, on this side, the English side, I was called to one side by the customs aficionados.
Yes.
And said, I don't think you should wear that shirt. And I said, why not? I said, because it's offensive.
Yeah. And where were you again?
I was at the ferry terminal in Dover, I think.
Right, I see, yeah.
And there was a bunch of us going over, and it was a black t-shirt with white writing on it.
Yeah, well, of course it was offensive.
And it was the line from a Who song.
Yes.
Which is called Who Are You?
Yeah.
And in the midst of the Who song, there is that line that says, who the F are you?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter, it's still offensive.
Well, I was 18 or 19 or something. Yeah. And I was, young and
show off.
A bit of a rebel, right? And so what I had to do, they said, well, we can't stop you wearing it.
Yes.
But what we want you to do is to somehow cover it up.
Yes.
And so somehow on the trip across the way to Paris,
some black paint or something.
Well, no. What happened was one of the guys had a patch that was a Who patch that you used to sew onto a parka or a jacket, right?
Yeah.
And so bizarrely, one of them had a sewing kit, and they sewed this patch, the Who patch, over the F word.
Yeah, well, a lot of trouble.
But I mean, so I was able to then wear it, because I mean, I don't think I even took any other clothes with me.
No.
We were going there, we were staying the night, and we were coming back.
Yeah.
So we weren't bringing anything with us.
Yeah, shocking.
So that was the only time I've been told that my t-shirt was offensive.
Oh, it was terrible. So my third one, yeah?
Yeah.
Now, do you know what? This is not an item of clothing, but it is an item of fashion.
Is it?
Aviator glasses.
Oh, yeah.
I got a pair of aviator glasses when I was the news editor of the Daily Express.
Ray-Bans?
Yeah. Well, I don't think they were Ray-Bans. I don't know what they were, but they made me look more important.
Yeah.
And,
they must have made you look like right plank.
Well, I didn't realise that until about a year later, when I realised people were sniggering behind their backs and saying,
Well, they did that all the time in your case.
And, but they were so, I think I've got a picture of myself somewhere. The frames were so wide.
Yeah.
They looked almost like those ridiculous glasses Dennis Taylor used to wear, although in Dennis Taylor's favour, it did win him the World Championship. You know what I mean? But I got them as huge as I possibly could.
Yeah, you get Ray-Ban aviators still, or you can get fat face aviator glasses.
Yeah. And, but although they had lenses in because I needed glasses, there was no question of me wearing them for practicality. No. They were a fashion statement, and I was a smooth guy.
Did you think you were in Chips or something?
I just thought I was a smooth guy, and I was a top junior executive, and, people would look at me,
pathetic,
point to me in cocktail bars and say, look at that guy with his Ray-Bans.
Were these a babe magnet for you as well?
Yeah, they were definitely babe magnets.
I mean, what sort of women would be impressed by that rubbish?
Well, in those days, it was quite fashionable, actually, sort of the shakers and the movers in the world, of which I was
shakers.
one. Yeah, shakers.
They make a lot of furniture.
Of which I was one, used to wear those things. And
well, I've got good news for you. You can buy a pair of Tom Brown silver mirrored aviator sunglasses now for 600 notes.
600? You must be joking. I wouldn't pay £6 for that rubbish.
I know.
You mad?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
See, I was always a Ray-Ban kind of guy rather than aviator.
Oh, yeah?
It just tells you the difference between you and me.
Is that right?
Coming up.